What's going on, everybody? This is your tour guide around SWAC C Wells coming at you with another video today. Y'all make sure y'all lock in with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and become a part of the SWAC Talk family by becoming a member. 99 cents gets you a membership to the YouTube channel. We have special perks coming at you. We're going to be dropping special members only videos and shorts. I'm going to have rants and reactions to different things that I want to put there. So if you want to get everything, man, become a member of the Swag Talk crew for 99 cents and get down with the get down, man. And so we're going to still be bringing y'all a lot of stuff, swag smoke and everything like that, and all our normal videos. But we also bring y'all that membership tier. So get down with that. Check out the Facebook and Instagram, both Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. And now let's get on with the show, man. Let's do it.
Welcome to the show, see Bojo guy. Wednesday, Sundays, catch the ride. Football hoops, we breaking wide. Stats and facts, truth on high. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Hit the corner of the field, we strategize. Breaking the game down, no disguise. Play by play, we analyze. I wear sharp, we magnify. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends, shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends, shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk when the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel.
All right, everybody, what is going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of Swag Talk, man. The show will cover the swag inside and out. And I am your tour guide around the swag. C Wells coming at you. And we're going to do our week one preview, man. I'm going to split this up into two parts. So I'm going to have 6 games on this episode. And then probably Friday, I'll have the other 6 games. Man, I'm just going to be 100% honest with y'all, man. So I don't know how great this show is going to be. I just found out, man, that one of the great members of this community, man, Craig Hall, he passed away last night, man. I had the opportunity to talk to him last night, and did not know, that would be the last time I talked to him. So I'm not really sure how great this is gonna be. I'm apologizing in advance, but rest in peace to him, and prayers to his family. And man, just like I say, man, doing this, doing this show for 4 years, man, it give me the opportunity to get to know some great people, and people that I probably wouldn't have met any other way. And you never really know how people are gonna influence you and connect with you. So I don't keep a big circle of people around me. So anybody I talk to personally off the air is somebody that I consider like family. And me and Craig, we chop it up a lot. Sometimes for hours, just shooting the shit. So I'm gonna do my best, man, to bring y'all this. Again, I apologize if this episode ain't up to what I typically do, man. I apologize, and I'm gonna get myself right and continue to do what we do. But I still got to bring y'all something, and Craig would have wanted to see me do this, you know what I'm saying? Because he loved everybody. But he loved everybody that did content in this space, man. He represented for everybody. Bought merch and put on for everybody, anybody and everybody. And so I want to do a little something, just to kind of keep it flowing. And SWAC football is here. So man, we're gonna talk about the first six games. We'll definitely talk about the two games take place tomorrow. And then we'll talk about the Friday game and then a couple Saturday games, and then we'll do the other ones on Friday most likely. So let's go ahead and jump into this, man. We're gonna go ahead and get it started. Like I said, I don't want to be long with these, so I'm trying to just make my way through them pretty quickly. Um, First off, we have Northwestern State hosting Alcorn. Um, that game is tomorrow night. The Demons had a horrible season last year. They were 0-7 in the conference, 0-12 overall. They on a 20-game losing streak. So they had that issue with their program where, a couple a year or so ago where they shut down their program, they brought it back. Player unfortunately lost his life. They shut down the program, brought it back last year, and they are pretty much at rock bottom. They brought in Coach Blaine McCorkle last season and trying to just get them, get themselves going. And um, this should be an interesting first game for Alcorn. Um, the Demons, they have a sophomore quarterback, Braden Swift. I think he started some late last year. They bring back the running back room led by Cam Porter, Joseph Hemming, and Caleb Kamen Komolafe. The defense returns only three starters. The defensive line is led by NFL prospect Anto Saka and Aiden Heward. They expected to be the strength of the team. Their high school recruiting class was ranked 66th and 68th in the portal. So they have a tough schedule, and they probably aren't gonna win very many games here. But again, this is a tough first matchup just because it's on the road for Alcorn. This is one of those matchups where these guys they're playing at home. They hungry. They looking to kind of snap their streak. And it's tough to play in Natchitoches. It's a sleepy town, man. It's typically not going to be a Rockers crowd, so you can get yourself caught up in that. Alcorn, they have one of the best running backs in the conference, if not in the country, and Jacorian Sewell. They bring back Stamarion Edwards on defense. Big return there. Um, and they're looking to improve on their second place West Division finish. Like I said, to me, if you had to have anything, everybody looking at quarterbacks. So they do have some good skill guys still there. You losing Chuck Griffin, so you got to replace that guy. He was like a Swiss Army knife, tight end, running back, whatever. And so you want to see Alcorn come out in this game and show that size that they increased on their offense and defensive lines. So a good start obviously is necessary in a game like this. I think this is going to be a battle, and not just because, like I said, it's the first game. I think Northwestern State they're gonna be fired up to try to break their streak. I just like I said, right now Alcorn, they have quarterback questions and just making sure they're straight on the lines. I think this is gonna be a game that's closer than a lot of people might think. I do think Alcorn gonna win it. I say the Braves win this game by a score of 23-18. I think Northwestern gonna hang around, but I think Alcorn gonna be able to slam the door on them, especially if their running game gets going and whoever is their quarterback is able to kind of make some things happen. They don't have to win the game, but they just definitely don't need to make a lot of mistakes. And if they could just manage the game, I think they'll be okay there. Our other Thursday game is Alabama State taking on UAB. Hornets, I think they're definitely still poised to make some noise in the East Division. Obviously, you got Andrew Body returning at quarterback. You got a loaded running back room. You got a nice receiving room. Offensive line is solid. Defense is where a lot of people looking at. I know they brought in some guys, some late additions that a lot of people may not have heard of. But they are still gonna be Alabama State. I think the defense, it may take a couple weeks to kind of get gelling, but they're gonna be tough. And if the offense is in position to take that next step, they're gonna make this team dangerous. Um, they play on a UAB team that lost a lot of guys in the portal, um, and so they're kind of starting over fresh. Um, when you look at what they do, um, Jalen Kittner is basically is their quarterback. He's a 6'5", 220-pound guy who played at Florida. He threw 17 touchdowns, but he also had 11 interceptions. So they don't necessarily have the greatest quarterback, but Amari Thomas is that was the number one guy. He's gone. Cam Shanks, the number two guy, he's gone to Arkansas. Ironically, who I'll talk about it on this show. So that leaves Corey Milliner. He's the deep threat. Um, Caleb Brown is also a guy that got potential to be a starter in the receiving game. He started at Ohio State. He went to Iowa, and now he um, should be a good option for them. They also got a guy, Antonio Ferguson from FIU, who has 7 catches and a touchdown. So their receiving room is kind of starting over, and the offensive line is gonna they have to replace all 5 offensive linemen. So that that's tough. I mean, they didn't have the best offensive line as it is, but anytime you lose all your starters on the O line, then you're starting over fresh. His offense is gonna definitely be a work in progress. They lose their leading rusher, um, Lee Beebe. He went to Indiana. They get Javon Jackson from UTEP, who had 754 yards at UTEP. Smaller guy, but he got opportunity to make some things happen. And Isaiah Jacobs was third on the team with 162 yards he returns. The defense gave up 339 yards and 34 points per game, so they definitely did not have any real pressure on teams. They didn't have a good pass rush. The run defense wasn't that good. So when you look at this game, obviously, there's always the opportunity for us to look at these kind of games as, winnable games. And, I'm sure Coach Dilfer has been, trying to rebuild that team at UAB. And again, it's gonna come down to, how Bama State plays. If the offense takes those steps that we think they can take, it should be an interesting game. If the defense can step up and get the stops and play Bama State football, we'll see. I mean, I think the last time these two teams played, Bama State lost by 5. So this is not an impossible matchup. Um, and I don't even, what I'm saying, that team wasn't even great. And this is a UAB team that's kind of in a rebuild. So I think that this is a possibility. But like I said, I'm a little hesitant, just because I don't know how the defense is going to play. If Bama State offense can do some things, then we'll have an interesting game. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 31-20. I'm gonna give UAB the win, but I think Bama State gonna get them a great battle and have themselves in position to pull it out. Maybe something late goes against them, but I think the Blazers find a way to win late. That next takes us to our Friday matchup, and that's Bethune-Cookman taking on a familiar coach. A familiar coach at a different place, and that's Willie Simmons, being at FIU. The Panthers. This is going to be interesting. Like I said, they got a new coach who's familiar with the state of Florida. He's obviously familiar with the team that he's playing first, and so he's back as the head man on the sideline after being at Duke. Um, and so like I said, we'll see how they do. The offense scored more points than the defense allowed, which is always good. And they return some solid guys. Nick Coleman, takes over as offensive coordinator after working with the quarterbacks at UAB. Ironically, he'll try to get the passing game in going, and you know how Coach Simmons is with his passing attack. Keon Jenkins is the quarterback. He threw for 2,500 yards and 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Um, and so that's an experienced guy there. Um, he went in the portal, but he changed his mind and came back. The top receiver, Eric Rivers and Dean Patterson, left to go to Georgia Tech, but they do have some guys ready to step up. Alex Perry, who caught 46 passes over the last 2 seasons, is looking to fill that in. Juju Lewis will be back after missing most of last season. He's the leading returning yardage receiver with 93 catches for 2 scores. Um, there is depth in this group. The tight end rotation still yet to be settled. Another UAB transfer, Dallas Payne, is in the mix. He caught 35 passes over the past 2 years. The offensive line was good in pass protection, decent in run protection. Um, so we'll see how they go, but they do have some veterans back to kind of get them going. They brought in a couple of transfers to help there. Uh, the running backs should be the strength of this offense. Keyshawn Owens led the team with 392 yards and 5 scores. They also bring in Devontae Lyons along with Georgia Tech transfer Anthony Carey and top recruit Sterling Joseph, giving them a nice running back room. So I think the run game should be solid. The defense um, didn't necessarily have a pass rush or get, you know, but they did good on third down. The pass defense was 16th in the nation, and the run defense kind of struggled there. But they return a defensive coordinator, and so they're gonna try to make some things happen. They lose most of their top tacklers, so there's a lot of new faces there. The secondary should be the strength of this team, led by Brian Blades, the second, and Victor Evans. So they bring in some good transfers as well from Arizona and Arkansas, Illinois, some Power Four guys. So I think this is a team that has the opportunity to do a little something. It's gonna take some work to put some things together, but um, this game, obviously, for Bethune-Cookman, man, it's just about showing up and making some plays. I mean, can you score? Can you move the ball? They basically rebuilding their group as a whole. Lost a lot of guys in the portal, lost your top running back. Do have some nice guys coming back. Malik Huggins. The defense was iffy last year, but they lost a few guys, but they returned some solid guys. Um, I think FIU gonna be looking to make something happen, especially I think Willie Simmons gonna be looking to make something happen. So I like the Panthers in this game. I'm gonna say 45-7. Bethune, if they can put together some solid drives and get some scores in, I think they'll be in better shape than the score shows. But I don't really have a lot of confidence there right now. But we'll see. You never know. You just never know. Um, that takes us to our Saturday games, and we'll look at 3 of those, and then we'll do the other ones tomorrow. Friday, excuse me. So we'll start off with Alabama A&M and Arkansas. That is the one of two FBS games on Saturday. Um, Bulldogs, obviously, new coach, new mindset, new mentality. Um, A&M, they just have to kind of come out and do what they can do. They can move the ball, and not turn the ball over. Hit some plays here and there. I think they'll be okay. Um, they just have to play as clean a game as they can and see what happens. Arkansas, um, they seem to be putting together a top offensive line. They have a lot of transfers coming in. They're trying to gel. Um, Hopefully, A&M could test their secondary. But Arkansas, obviously, when it comes to these kind of games, they're gonna try to, get some big points in, and I think they're gonna continue that. Um, like I said, again, my hope for A&M is just to come out and play some solid ball and see what happens. Maybe you get turnovers, put yourself in a short field, and you can make some things happen. Otherwise, you back to the drawing board. But I like Arkansas in this game. I'm gonna say 56-10. I think Quad Brown in the offense, if they can run the ball and set up the passing game, that can help. But Arkansas definitely gonna be looking to get their season off to a good start at home. So I don't expect too much craziness there. Um, Next game we have is Langston and Grambling in Shreveport. Grambling should take care of business in this game. I mean, you don't never want to overlook any of these teams, but I think with Grambling kind of rebuilding their offense, um, this is a good game to get your team started. Their defense, if they can stay on that turnover track, this should be another game where you can feast on turnovers and take advantage of just having the numbers. This is a team. This Langston team does return, quite a few guys who played last season. The defense probably is the strength of this team. Um, they're led by their defensive lineman Damon Lowry, also James Grace and Dylan Prince, excuse me. Also linebacker uh, Kevin Moe, and Travis Martin at cornerback. So they have some solid guys there. They return the starting quarterback who had after an injury prone season. But this should be all Grambling. This should be a game that Grambling dictates everything about this game, and it's a good way to get your season started off right. Um, as long as you move the ball and you take care of it and you force the turnovers, um, you get that running game going, which I know Coach Joseph said they want to run the ball more this year. So this is a good game to get that going, put some points on the board, and move on to the next one. So I like Grambling in this game, 42-7. I think they'll be able to take care of business against Langston and move forward. The last game we're gonna have today is Hampton and Jackson State. The Pirates coming off of a 5-7 record last year under Coach Trenton Boykin in his first year. He's in the second year now. They were 2-6 in conference. Um, their defense was strong. They allowed just 317 yards per game, which was tops in the CAA. The offense was also productive. Ranked, they were second in rushing yards, averaging 196 yards per game, and they scored almost 30 points a game. So this team wasn't as bad as their record looked. They started off 5-3 and closed out on a 4-game losing streak. So they were actually not that bad. They do have a new starting quarterback following the loss of Christopher Zealous. They have a transfer, Isaiah Freeman, who comes from Lincoln, Pennsylvania. Um, Not necessarily the greatest numbers over there, but obviously is a guy that look like he's going to take the reins. Jaquan Snipes returns after leading the team in rushing with 531 yards and 6 touchdowns. Donovan Shepard is also another candidate to impact the running game. At wide receiver, they have a strong receiver group led by Maxwell Moss, Jay Sean Johnson, Jaden Wimberly, and Isaiah Smith. Wimberly had 11 catches for 65 yards. Expected to be the leader of this young group. And how Hampton runs the ball, so I don't think they're going to throw it a lot. They're going to try to line up and run it. And if the quarterback can run, that's definitely going to also play into their offense. And so I don't expect them to just fill the air up in the vet with footballs. But if they run the ball, it's gonna play into what Jackson State does defensively. Um, you looking for Jeremiah Williams um, and looking at those guys and the linebackers all to eat in a game like this. Um, so I think JSU is going to be solid in this game. Hampton returns 4 starters on defense, so not a lot of new faces going to be out there. If Jackson State can get that balanced offense going, I know they ran the ball a lot last year. I think they might pass it a little bit more this year. And you definitely got the receiving group for that. Um, if they can be solid and do what they do and keep that momentum from last season going. I think this is going to be a good win for Jackson State. I think Hampton going to give them a early go of it. But I like the Tigers in this one by a score of 31-13. I do think Hampton's capable of putting up a good battle if they can fill some of those voids that where it left from last season. Like I said, this team was a lot different than what their record was, but the saying is you are what your record is. So I still like the Tigers in this one. I would not be surprised if Hampton made it a game, but I think Jackson State win this game, probably late score too to kind of pull away. And so that's gonna do it for today's show, man. Like I said, I thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll be back on Friday with part two. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Sewell signing out, and I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.